here in 2024, Toyota is still leaning heavily into the hybrids while everyone else focuses on going into EVs. And it seems like Toyota really has made the right choice here. They are the king of the hybrid vehicle right now. So here we have a combination of a Corolla, a crossover, and a hybrid, just about as Toyota as you can get. As always, we're going to look at this thing from the outside in, talk about what it has been like to live with for the past week. Let's go ahead, take a look. The Corolla Cross Hybrid uses the 5th generation Toyota hybrid system. This is going to be a 2-liter 4-cylinder motor for the internal combustion part, and then the 3 electric motor system. It's going to be one to control your starter, help get the internal combustion engine going, as well as help power the other 2 motors. Then you're going to have one attached to the front axle and a smaller motor connected to the back axle. So there's not actually any mechanical connection between the 2 axles for the all-wheel drive system. It's essentially going to be front-wheel drive most of the time, and then the back wheels will sort of get involved as needed. And your internal combustion engine is also going to help power the front wheel. So most of the time it is a front wheel drive system. Your combined output is going to be 196 horsepower. And for fuel efficiency here, we're looking at 42 miles per gallon combined. I'm averaging around 35 in my driving, but if you keep it in eco, if you keep your foot off the gas pedal a little bit, then you can supposedly get 42 combined here and up to 45 in the city. Now the transmission for this one is going to be an eCVT, not to be confused with a standard CVT. They're similar, but this one is electronically controlled, so you're not dealing with belts and pulleys and chains, things like that. It does work a little bit differently, and it is a little bit more robust than the full-on mechanical CVT. Size-wise here, we're sort of subcompact-ish here. It's a little bit smaller than a RAV4, but a little bit bigger than like a Kona or a Niro. A lot smaller than the new HRV. The HRV's gotten pretty big, but it is on the smaller side, the more compact side. We are on big 18s on this one because we are in the XSE trim level. The Nightshade, the new Nightshade edition, is also going to get you 18s. Other 2 trim levels, the S and the regular SE, are going to be on 17s. As always, I would go for the smaller wheels just to get a little bit better ride quality, though this one does have pretty thick amount of sidewall going on, and then there's going to be no spare tire in the back there. Got all the black cladding going on because of course that's like a thing here in 2024. This 2-tone thing that's going on is only in the upper 2 specs. Now you don't have to get the 2-tone just because you get the SE or the XSE, but it becomes an option, and it's just not an option on the S trim. But that's the reason that these mirrors are black as well. Otherwise here in the XSE you would have color matched mirrors, but this one, since it has the 2-tone, has the black, and then the SE and the S are going to get black mirrors anyway. This one's gloss black. The S trim is going to be matte black. We do have blind spot monitoring. These are going to be heated. They're heated in all the trim levels, but the blind spot monitoring non-existent on the S trim, unfortunately. I feel like that should be standard here in 2024. We should really have blind spot monitoring in pretty much everything by now. And then this chrome trim up here you see is just because we are in this XSE. Love the little Corolla Cross embossed through here. And then the roof rails, these black roof rails, are on the upper 2 trims. We do have black badges. Those are going to be on all of the hybrid Corolla Crosses. They're all going to be black badges. It's not like a package. It's not just the Nightshade or anything like that. They all get the black badges. I don't know why this all-wheel drive badge is on the side. Seems like a weird spot for it, but you know, now I'm looking at the side of this car that it's all-wheel drive. If you want the touch to lock and the touch inside to unlock, you have to be on one of the upper 2 trim levels, and that is only the front doors, not the back doors. So if you're like me and you're going to the back door first to let your kids in and out, then you do still have to go up to the front to lock and unlock, or use the key fob. Toyota kept the front end pretty simple here. There's lots of black and silver going on. They even blacked out the badge. Like, they kind of like fogged it out, not really fully blacked it out, but you can't really see the Toyota badge. Kind of an interesting choice there. This is all blocked out through here, just a little bit of cooling at the top and the bottom. But these parking sensors that you see across the front are only because we're in the XSE. Same goes for the LED fog lights here. No fog lights on any of the other trim levels. Now, you do get LED headlights with the auto auto on off no matter what trim level you're in. But to get the LED turn signals, you have to at least be in the SE trim level. And if you want the adaptive headlights, then you have to option those on top of the XSE. So here in the XSE plus an additional option to get the adaptive headlights. I always recommend getting the adaptive headlights. I love having those. They will corner with you at night. Definitely a great feature to have. Toyota's kept the back end here pretty simple as well. LED taillights are only going to be in the XSE, unfortunately, but the LED brake lights here are going to be standard on all the trim levels. But I love this embossed Corolla cross in the light over here. Again, the black badges are going to be standard on all of the hybrids. You don't have to have the nightshade. It doesn't matter what trim level you are. The hybrid versions are all going to have those black badges. Love to see a rear wiper on something that's either an SUV or a hatch with a flat-ish back. Got the little sensor up there for some of your safety features, your backup cam down there. Now there is no kick to open or anything. In fact, the power tailgate is only an additional option on top of the XSE, so that's not going to be standard on any of the trim levels. You have to option that in addition to the XSE here. And you got the button on this sort of dinky, plasticky little key. Kind of, you know, it fits with the price point. A lot of the keys at this price point are gonna be a little bit plasticky, but I just, you know, I'm into the heftier key. I don't know what it is. But this will open right up into quite a bit of space, actually, despite how small this car is. And here I mentioned, you just got the fix-a-flat kit. You don't have a spare tire, unfortunately, but you do have the JBL subwoofer back here because that one is option. We'll talk about that during the interior, but that JBL is option on this one. No 12 volt or anything, not really a whole lot of storage space, but it does have quite a bit of space in general. This privacy cover is an additional option. We got a net down there as well. We got the 60-40 split on the seats here. But these tethers here, these anchors, are just behind the fabric. I like it when they put the plastic inserts in there because I just feel like that fabric's just going to get all torn up just having those hooked in there all the time if you do have child seats. If you don't have child seats, not as big of a deal, but you know, then you just have fabric with a slit in it that's just prone to getting ripped open a little bit. Quite a bit of space back here, and then you've got the handle in case you don't have the power tailgate, so you don't have to grab the paint if you're worried about that. You push the button if you do have that power tailgate going on. Shockingly, the interior of the Corolla Cross is very similar to the interior of the Corolla. Even got the Pippi Longstocking seats like I had in that Corolla XSE I was in not too long ago, though this one has the blue instead of the red. Now, if you get the base trim of the hybrid here with the S, so that's going to be your S trim, then it's a pretty bare bones interior. You don't get a whole lot of features here with this one being the XSE. It's fully loaded out. You get some pretty decent features. And you still are around $30,000, just over $30,000. But we'll talk about the differences as we go here. But if you're in that base S trim, you are still going to get the 8-inch touchscreen with the latest Toyota system where you can set up your profile with all your safety, your driver's assist, your sound settings, everything. And you can pass that along to other cars. So you get out of this car, get into another Toyota with this system, you can load up your profile. Or if you're coming out of another Toyota, when you go buy this or go drive this car, then you just load up your profile. That's really a nice thing there. This system is really super easy to use. They did a good job with the UX, the UI here, where all your buttons are just easily accessible on the side here. On the driver's side, easy to reach. You still have a knob for volume. You can watch your energy efficiency. You can adjust your sound settings. You can adjust your safety features. You have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, both wireless, standard, even in that base trim level. Only thing that's buried in here that you wouldn't get in that base trim is going to be the ambient lighting. The ambient lighting is only in this XSE trim level. Your climate control, you still get all these physical buttons and knobs. Love to see that. Nice and easy to use. You have your temperature, your fan settings, everything is visible. It's not buried up in the infotainment. Love to see that. And again, the physical knobs, physical buttons. Love to see those. Now, this one being the XSE, it has the dual zone automatic climate. If you're in the base, then you get the manual climate. If you're in the SE, then you're going to get the automatic single zone climate. These heated seats down here only in this top spec, so we still do have physical switches for that. Love to see that, but those are only in this top spec here, this XSE, as well as these mixed material seats. Otherwise, you're going to get the cloth seats in the other trim levels. These are really, you know, they're nice seats. They're bolstered just right, so they're comfortable. They're not digging into my kidneys, but you're not, they're not so loose that you're bouncing around or anything. This power adjustable seat is only because we're in the XSE. Otherwise, it would be manually adjustable, and it's still a manually adjustable passenger's seat. But these seats are fine for daily commuting. If you have back problems or something, they might not be the most supportive. If you're going on long road trips, you might get a little bit uncomfortable, but for the daily commute, they're totally fine here. They are a little bit on the stiff side, really is the only issue that I have with them. Otherwise, they're fine. The leather trim steering wheel here, only in the upper 2 specs, but all the buttons laid out really nicely, really easy to use. No haptic stuff like they use in the Lexus systems. I'm so glad they're not bringing those down here into the Toyota. Gauge cluster is going to be the 7-inch here because we're in the XSE, the fully digital one. Otherwise, you're going to get the 4.2-inch in the other trim levels. You know, it's not the most visually appealing, and just the Toyota graphics have never been my favorite, but it does get the job done. It's laid out, you know, everything's spaced out well. You can tell what's going on. You do have your traffic sign recognition there, no matter what trim level. You can watch your power, whether you're charging or whether you're using power or whether you're in EV mode, whatever you're doing, you can watch that. You've got your temperatures in there. Really, you know, it's got plenty of information in there. It's laid out well. It's just not the most visually appealing in terms of what graphics and colors and stuff they used. There's no heads-up display, which, you know, being the smallest of the crossovers, not really surprised that the heads-up display isn't an option. A lot of the smaller crossovers don't get that. This JBL sound system is an option, but only when you're in the XSE. You can option this on top of the XSE trim level, and it's fine. The JBL sound systems aren't systems that I would typically go out of my way to get. So I do wish there was a better option, but it's fine. I just wouldn't necessarily pay extra for it. Your high beams, your tailgate are over there. You do have the rear wiper. We got paddle shifters here if you decide you want to shift for yourself with the like fixed gear ratios, even though it is an eCVT. The wireless charger has been updated for 2024 here, and it has worked very well. You only get this in the upper 2 trims, so again, that base trim is going to be pretty bare bones. You don't get that wireless charger, but you do get that in the upper 2 specs. It's updated and it's working. It's been working very well. It has overheated once in the entire past week, and otherwise it has just charged very well. I've had no issues with it. The drive mode settings down here, you've even got a full EV mode for like if you're in a parking garage or a parking lot or something. Gear shift is going to be leather wrapped only in the top spec. Your auto hold feature, you got some cup holders down here. You got another USB-C in here as well as a 12 volt. Now you only get these 2 USB-Cs if you're in the base. Since we're in the XSE, or if we were in the SE, then you would also get the 2 extra USB-Cs back there, and they've even got a vent back here as well. We've also got 2 extra cup holders back there, only in the XSE. Note, there are no USB-As, so you are going to have to get some new cords if you're still living with USB-As. Speaking of the back seats there, 32 inches of legroom technically, but those numbers don't always tell the whole story. I fit fine back there. I'm only 5'7". I fit in everything pretty much. My forward-facing seats back there with my kids in them fit totally fine. Rear-facing is going to be a little bit tight unless you have the passenger's seat, you know, pushed way up. It's enough if you got forward-facing seats, or if you don't have somebody in the passenger seat a lot, or if you're typically, you know, carrying around teenagers or shorter kids, then you're going to be totally fine. This moonroof here is an option on top of the XSE trim level, so that's not standard on any trim. Other things up top here, we do have the auto dimming mirror. That is only going to be in the XSE trim level, and you do have the home link as well here, but that is only in the XSE. But yeah, pretty bare bones interior in general, but here in the XSE, the top spec, you do get a few extra features that are definitely nice to live with here. And we're still looking at, just over $30,000, so not too bad. Surprisingly, even though this one is the Extreme Sport Edition, the XSE, and it has the Sport Tune suspension that you get in all of the Corolla Cross hybrids, it is surprisingly not a light your hair on fire kind of driving experience. Okay, didn't exactly expect that from this car. Is an economy level car. You want, it's $30,000 even when you're fully loaded out. It's made for fuel efficiency here. With this hybrid version, and it's fine. The driving experience is aggressively fine. I love that term. I think that really applies here. It's not particularly quiet in here, and again, at this price point, you don't expect it to be super quiet. It's about on par with a lot of the competition at this price point. You get these angry CVT noises when you hit the gas there. Quite a bit of road noise as well. We are on run flats as well. Even with the quote sport tune suspension and the run flats, it's not going to beat you up though. The suspension here isn't going to. It's totally fine for the daily drive. But the biggest thing here, in addition to the fuel economy, is the safety features and the driver's assist features that you get standard. So this has the Toyota 3.0 system, which is excellent. It gives you, and that's going to be standard. It's going to be on all three trim levels, and that gives you the lane tracing, the lane keep assist, gives you the radar cruise control, gives you the proactive drive assist, which I always turn off. We'll talk about that a little bit, but it gives you all these great safety features standard. So if this is like, if you're a new driver or if you're just someone, maybe a little bit extra careful, want a little bit extra of want a few extra safety features, a few extra driver's assist features, it's great for that. So the radar cruise, I will say, don't put it on the smallest gap setting here, because there are a couple of times where it's gone pretty aggressive. It made me a little bit nervous, but if you have it on like the 2 or the 3 or one of the bigger gaps, it works totally fine. So that's nice on a road trip. It's also nice in stop and go. That will work in full stop and go traffic, which is great. I mentioned the lane tracing. The lane tracing in the Toyota 3.0 system works very well. The 2.5 isn't quite as good, but here with this one being the 3.0, it does keep you pretty well centered in your lane, even if you're stuck behind left lane campers like I am all the time, including now. Now the proactive drive assist, if you've watched some of my recent Lexus videos here, like the NX and the RX, then you've already heard about this. But it's essentially, it keeps an eye out for people on the sides of you and in front of you, and it will sort of actively brake and actively avoid situations. Very strange sort of feeling when the brakes just come on sort of randomly. It's almost like a regenerative braking, like you would get when you're in an EV. So if I come up too close to somebody, then it will brake on its own just sometimes, and it feels just a little bit, like you're not in control necessarily, but that's just me. Maybe I just am a little bit too much of a control freak or something, but it's a very strange feeling. Luckily, all the safety features here, you can turn those off through the gauge cluster here, and they will stay off. Like if you turn off the lane shove assist, the one that will bonk you back into the lane if you go over the line, and that will stay off. If you turn off this proactive drive assist, it will stay off when you turn the car off and back on. So those are great. The other thing I really like to see down here is the drive wheels. So this one does have, as I mentioned, the hybrid system where it has the front axle controlled by the internal combustion engine, as well as one of the electric motors, and then there's another smaller electric motor on the back axle to control the back wheels. This really is a primarily front wheel drive system. I've been watching this down here to see which wheels are driving, and really it's only when you start to push the car harder, like if you're trying to merge quickly or something, then it will get the back wheels involved. If you're going from a standstill, it'll get the back wheels involved. If you're going through a curve, that back motor is really just more for if they need to get involved, but it is primarily a front wheel drive car here. At the end of the day, the Corolla Cross Hybrid is a pretty no-frills vehicle. It's not super exciting to look at. It's not super exciting to drive. It's not exactly a hair-on-fire kind of vehicle. That's not what this is made for, but it is efficient. It's got just the right features. If you do load it out here, you do kind of have to load it out to get any kind of features, unfortunately. But we're still around $30,000, which is a pretty solid deal here for this kind of efficiency and for what you do get here. The bare bones version, at least you do get the wireless Android Auto, the wireless Apple CarPlay, and you still do get that Toyota 3.0 safety suite, which is a pretty nice deal here, even when you are in that base trim. If you're looking for something like for a new driver, this is really a great option, or something for like you just have a short commute and you just need to go A to B and you want to get there reliably and efficiently, then this is really a good option for that. If you want something a little bit more exciting to drive, this might not be the one. If you want something a little bit more feature rich, a little bit more luxe, this might not be the one for you. But if you really just want just the right features, just a couple of things, a couple of extra convenience features, comfort features, that efficiency, that reliability, and the safety features here that we've got here, this is really more the car for you. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.